We're here in the basement of Dodge Fitness Center in the Columbia University fencing room. A lot of tradition. Jackie Dubrovich, NCAA finalist, captain of the fencing team. Jackie, tell us about this year for you.
This year, in terms of the college season, is really important. You know, as a captain, I've been working really hard with the freshmen to inspire them and to lead them through just the college season. We have St. John's NYU coming up this weekend, which is probably the first taste that the freshmen are going to get of a really, really difficult weekend. I mean, you're fencing 30 bouts. It's a lot of fencing with the top schools like Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame. So they're going to be really tested physically and mentally. And then we have Ivies coming up, which are going to be at Columbia, which is going to add a little bit more pressure than it would if we were somewhere else competing, but just trying to get the freshmen excited, but at the same time not feel too much pressure in terms of performing, and we want them just to go out there and just perform like they usually would and fence like they would at a practice. Right?
And talking about pressure, you mentioned the St. John's NYU back-to-back. How do you as a captain ensure that not just the freshmen but all team members are managing that pressure appropriately?
I think definitely the juniors and seniors, they've been through this before, so they're pretty well adjusted to the pressure. It's important. My role as a captain, in addition to the other 5 captains, is just to make sure if there's anything that we can do for our teammates, whether it's get them water or do a pep talk or just walk up to them when they lost and just give them a pat on the shoulder and tell them it's okay. Just whatever we can do to let them know that this is a team and that we're in this together is definitely really, really important. And I don't feel the pressure because, well, obviously, as a competitor, you feel pressure, regardless, but I don't feel any added pressure in these situations just because I know that I have my team behind me. And that's like the best part of college fencing is that usually fencing is a very individual sport. You're on the strip. If you mess up, you have no one to blame but yourself. And same thing, if you mess up in a college competition, it's probably your fault, but it's good to have your teammates behind you, supporting you.
And you talk about that mental side of things. It's also an incredibly taxing part of the season with the January NAC, the Penn State invite, St. John's, NYU back-to-back, all leading into Ivies. March in NCAA is not far away. How about on the physical side and just ensuring that the team is prepared?
Well, we've been working extremely hard this season. I know at Bay and Sabre, they do joint practices together in the mornings, and foil practices are in the evenings, but everyone is fencing, everyone's taking lessons, everyone's conditioning, doing footwork. It's honestly probably the hardest I've ever seen this team work, which is super inspiring, and it's great to know that, I'm the captain of this team. That's, it's just a huge change. And also our freshman team is great. We have great talent, and they didn't come in here, thinking, oh, we don't have to work hard. We're already accomplished fencers. They're working just as hard, if not harder, than the rest of the team, which is really, really, really great to see.
And speaking of the strength of the team and all the work that goes into it, on the women's foil side especially, there's a lot of strength there. Tonight in the room, 3 of the 4 world team members. Tell us about that environment and the benefits to you training with that level of competitor.
It's fantastic. We have the best fencing in the nation. It's great to know that we can just call each other up and be like, you want to fence today? And we meet here, and some people go to Fencers Club and other places. But it's fantastic to know we have this incredible level of competition here. And it's also nice because we all learn from each other, although it is a very competitive environment and we're fencing one another very seriously. It's not like we're just playing around, but everybody here supports one another, which is really great, and I definitely learned from these girls.
And that support, learning, that level of competition, how has that impacted you personally? As a freshman, you came onto the scene storming, and you were a finalist right away. Took bronze last year. Tell us a little bit about that success so early on.
It was going into NCAAs as a freshman. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really feel any pressure because I'd never done it before. I competed nationally, I've competed internationally, I've been on world teams, and for me, I have dealt with a lot of pressure on the world stage. So I thought I'm just fencing the same people that I would be fencing at a national competition. All of these girls, none of these competitors are new. We've fenced with one another many times. So when I went out there, I definitely just thought I have to fence my hardest and just relax. Definitely whenever I fence, I still feel pressure. I think as an athlete, it's healthy to feel a little bit of pressure. You get your adrenaline running. But yeah, freshman year, I didn't feel the pressure too much. Sophomore year, definitely a bit more, because I was coming off of a great result, number one. Number two, I was battling kind of a groin injury at that time, so it's kind of difficult confidence-wise when I couldn't perform as well as I wanted to. And three, it's a very physically exhausting competition. You're fencing 5 touch bouts with the very best fencers in the country. I mean, it's such a mental game by the end of the day that it takes a lot out of you. So definitely it was harder sophomore year.
And you talk a little bit about your international experience. 4-time junior world team member, on the cadet level, equally successful. You're training with some of the best in the world here. How does that help you prepare for a competition, going into it knowing that some of your toughest bouts are in practice?
Yeah, when the club that I came from in New Jersey, we didn't have this level of competition. I had great people to fence with, but as I came into Columbia as a freshman, it kind of was a little difficult for me to get adjusted, only because I wasn't beating everybody all the time. And that was definitely a mental adjustment on my part to realize that I'm not going to have a good day every single day. And when I lose, I don't take it personally. I just learn from it and reflect on my mistakes after I fence. And it's good because you're competing against the very best. I mean, you're never going to get better unless you fence with the best. So.
And you mentioned kind of your response to losing. Are you a person that hates losing or loves winning, and that's what fuels you?
Definitely, I hate losing. I'm my own worst competitor, so I'm always very, very hard on myself, and I'm a perfectionist. So when I lose, I kind of just brood and sit by myself and just reflect on a lot of things, which is probably not necessarily the best way of getting over losing. But yeah, I would definitely say I really, really hate losing.
So after a loss, it's best to steer clear of Jackie Dubrovich.
Yes.
All right, and as far as the expectations you mentioned going into your freshman year to produce such a great result, and basically not really having an expectation, how about now as a junior with the history of success? What are your expectations for NCAA championships this year?
Definitely just to perform the best that I can. I'm also currently again battling another groin injury before NCAAs, so it's tough just mentally to adjust and physically to adjust my fencing to my injury. I'm usually a very physical fencer and I lunge a lot, and it's hard to adjust my fencing to not be lunging and not be as physical as I was before, but I'm just going to go out there and do the very best that I can, and that's all that I can really do.
Now, speaking about the physicality of your fencing, how about the physicality of I guess, aspects in other part of your life? Over the past 2 summers, you've been a golf caddy.
Yeah, I started about 3 summers ago. I worked at a country club in New Jersey, and I caddied for the entire summer. And that first summer, I was the only girl caddy there, which was a very interesting experience to be working with the guys in the back, and they're all cursing and spitting and being really gross, and I'm just kind of sitting there to myself. But It was definitely a great experience. I've never had any golf, experience at all. I didn't know the difference between a putter or a driver. So I learned along the way, and I came back the next summer, and I really loved all the people that I worked with at the country club and my boss. So it was a very interesting summer job, and it was great, yeah.
And what can we expect from you this summer? Another caddy position?
No, last summer I actually decided to not do anything that involved lugging large bags for miles. I worked at a law firm, and this year I'm hoping to get either a consulting or a law internship.
Excellent. Well, we wish you best of luck with your career pursuits, whatever they might be, and also for the remainder of the season. Thank you very much.
Thank you.